Hello and welcome, David Judge here, and today we're going to discuss SEO penalties. Now we're going to talk about the idea of what an SEO penalty is, the different types of penalties, and what you can actually do if you think you're penalized. So let's jump into this because it's a really juicy subject and we're going to skim across the surface of it, but we're going to give you enough where you can identify and you can fix any issues for yourself. Now first things first, what is an SEO penalty? Now, an SEO penalty is when your site goes against the webmaster guidelines of a search engine, specifically Google in today's conversation, and as a result, it loses its search engine visibility. Now, losing your search engine visibility in plain English means that your site loses its traffic and its rankings. Now, there are two ways this can occur. It can occur as a result of a manual penalty, where a human finds your site actually violates the guidelines of their search engine, and they go and they push that big red button of doom. So that's an employee of that search engine that would push that big red button of doom. And what it will actually do is it will actually cause the issue where your site loses that traffic and rankings. Now there's also the second type, which is algorithmic, which is when Google's algorithms, their computer language, automatically pick up an area that your site violates against and algorithmically penalizes your site. Now if you think you have a penalty, the first thing to do is to go and check it and find out. Now, if it's a manual penalty, Google will tell you if you install a little handy add-on they call Google Webmaster Tools. Now, if you're in the manual penalty doo-doo, they actually send you an email message that actually looks something like this. So you can see a variety of penalties here, which, as I said, are all manually activated. Now, the most common manual penalty you would find was related to the type of links you have pointing back to your site, which I'll discuss more about in a moment. Now, there are also algorithmic penalties which can occur when Google roll out a change on how they measure the elements of a quality site. Now, when these occur, you'll normally notice a change in the traffic that is coming through to your site from Google. Now, Google's algorithm, the way it chooses in which websites rank where, is so huge and complicated that they've broken it into a few different areas to allow people to focus on specific areas of improvement within each area. Now they've also given these different areas of the algorithm cute little animal names that all start with P, and they all lead you into a false sense of security as they pounce and attack your site. Bit extreme. Now you may or may not have heard these different areas or animals, so we're actually going to share each one briefly and the purpose that it serves within the overall algorithm. So the first is Panda. Now this is the first of the three animals that actually measures your website's content, the quality of your content, as well as the structure of your content. And Panda always focuses on understanding your on-page and how well your content relates to the words that you would like to rank for, and is constantly improving how it actually measures the theme and structure of your website. Now, of all the algorithms, Panda is one of the most commonly overlooked, as most people are missing out on massive opportunities to improve this area of their online presence. Now the next is Penguin. Number two is Penguin. Penguin is all about the links that point back to your website as an area that a lot of SEOs, again, have focused on, as it's the most widely abused technique that people were using to get websites ranked. Now Google have always reinforced that if you're linking from website 1 to website 2, that website 2 has to offer value for the visitors to website 1 before they actually link through. Now, of all the examples I showed before, the most common reason that people were penalized was as a result of spammy links. And we've actually had to work with clients to correct the issues with Penguin. And the most common type of spammy links is when people arrange thousands and thousands and thousands of links from directory sites and other sites where they could just get a quick, fast buck backlink. Now, when businesses find the traffic has dropped, a lot of them think it's as a result of Penguin, but I just want you to reinforce again that it can be as a result of Panda. Now, the last one we're going to mention is Pigeon. Now, this was released on the 24th of July 2014 and has had a heavy impact on how businesses rank within local searches in Google. Now, there's still a lot of ways this is going to be updated, and it's early days, so I'm not actually going to cover that one off in any more detail. So of these three animals you should be aware of, it's also important to aware as they roll out the algorithm change that is when your site is going to be impacted. So rolling out, as I said, is when they change an algorithm. So it's like when you do like a software update that comes out with new features. Now, as I just mentioned, this is the best time to see if you've been impacted. On the flip side, you can look at your historical traffic that comes from Google to see if your website was impacted historically, if there were any great drops in traffic. Now, this is usually, if you have a good drop in traffic from Google, that's usually a good sign that you've been impacted. And the best way to measure this is through Google Analytics, where you can actually drill down and see where the traffic drop has occurred. You can compare it with date. So how would this look? Well, in the instance of eBay, it looks a little bit like this, where they experienced a massive drop in search engine visibility. Or for Retail Me Not, it looked a little bit like this, where they experienced a 139% decrease in search engine visibility. Now, the best way to see what penalty you've been affected by is to have a look at to Google the Moz Google algorithm updates, and to have a look and compare the drop in traffic to the date that it actually has under the Google algorithm change history. And I've actually included a link for you below, or you can, as I said, you can Google the term Google Moz Google algorithm update. Now, in both of the examples that I mentioned with eBay and Retail Me Not, both of those actually experienced a drop in search engine visibility as a result of Panda updates. So it's important to understand why you've actually had the impact before you try to react to the do. Okay, so we've covered a lot already. So I'm going to cover in this last section before we wrap up what you can actually do if you've been impacted by a penalty. Now, the first step is to understand that penalty, and you can do that by the technique I mentioned just now, by comparing the Moz updates when Google release an update date, and comparing it to your drop in your search in your Google Analytics by the traffic coming through to the search engines. Now, once you understand the type of penalty, then it's time to react. And my last disclosure, my last little point that I want to mention. I think that you should always contact a company that can help you to strategize and correct this issue. Now, I'm biased because this is a service I offer, but as a result of offering the service, I know the complexity associated with getting a site back from the search engines, and I've also seen a lot of instances where people are trying to correct the issue by digging deeper holes for themselves by using old school SEO methods, and I saw this just recently. So let's say you don't want to get someone else to help you to do it and you want to tackle it by yourself. I'm going to touch briefly how you should go about doing that, and then I'll finish up. Now, warning, if you don't have a great deal of knowledge around the subject, I'm about to get technical, so you may need to Google some of the areas that I'm talking about. Okay, so if you find that you've been impacted by Pengiun, first of all, you need to clean up your low quality links. Now, you can use this by using software like Link Detox to flag the low quality links, and then you need to contact the webmaster, the owner of each site, where the links that are located, and ask them to remove them. Now, you should also look at the remaining links you have pointing back through to your site and the anchor text variants they use. If they are too keyword stuffed, meaning keywords that you want to rank for, and the anchor text that you're using are too high, then you need to change them and focus on more branded links. Now, you also need to have a look at other strategies to naturally attract links through to your website. This can be by relationships that you form, where you create some valuable content for a person, and then you reference a page in your website that expands on that topic. And there are many, many different other ways of attracting good quality links. Now, finally, you should look at how your website is structured and any opportunities to expand on the content of your site, really focusing on how you can deliver value to your end user. So that's Pengiun in a nutshell. Now, if it's Panda, you should have a look at the content, the on page of your site. If it's original, does it offer value? Does it delve deep in a subject? Does it offer supporting content in that subject? If you're a shopping cart, for example, are you offering an interactive experience? Do you have reviews of your products? Do you allow others to rate and review your products? Do you have other supporting content that expands on the backstory of the products and services that you have on your shopping cart? Do you have other suggested products within a similar range of your products you're offering? Now, Panda is all about making sure you're delivering the best experience to your users, and as a result of offering that great experience, you'll naturally gain higher rankings. Now, in other words, if you focus on your users first, then you'll get the traffic second. Okay, great. So that's it. Those are two really quick ways of how you can reverse the penalties of each of those different areas. Now, in the next video, we're going to talk about redesigning your website and the areas you need to be mindful of from an SEO perspective. Now, I've actually witnessed so many sites firsthand that have redesigned their website and they've gone and flicked that switch and they're totally dropped out of existence as they don't cover the basics to make sure that their previous work gets counted. Now, if you have a question that you would like me to answer, make sure you get in contact with me and I'd love to hear from you. As always, this is David Judge talking online marketing and showing you, yes you, how you can grow your business online.